If after a night of filling your rectum with vodka from a turkey baster, the cops find you changing a flat in the cereal aisle of a Piggly Wiggly and ask how much you've had to drink, and you say nothing, are you lying? Well, no. Now, if they had been asking, have you been injecting? You'd have to say yes, but they said, have you been drinking? Well, no, absolutely. Yeah, Lord Stanhope, absolutely not. In fact, you all can try to answer these questions. Stand by. The program will begin soon. A WNBA game got stopped in the middle of the game because one of the players lost their wig while they're playing, and they had to run off. And then some fan made fun of the player, and they had to run. And they kicked the fan out for making fun of a player losing the weave. Not the weave, it was a wig. Losing their wig. They had to have a timeout for the wig emergency. Which I'm like, why the F are you wearing a wig while you're playing basketball? But then yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, a game had to be stopped briefly because someone threw a big old green dildo on the floor. Someone threw a dildo out on the floor, out of the court. They had to stop the game. I don't know if they caught the person who sent the dildo, but the green dildo was on the court, and a good large number of the players had no idea what to do with something of that shape, but that's okay. It happened, and then someone made this t-shirt or this meme, pay us what you owe us, which has a dildo on it. So that was... Hey, you know what the really good interrupt violence through community-based bystander training? Yeah, if the bystanders beat the fuck out of someone who's attacking somebody else, that would be great bystander training. They could send them to the MMA gym, put them in an arm bar, smack them in the face a few times. Stop doing that bullshit. That would be the best community-based bystander training, but I don't think that's what he means. Anyway. And then the other one, they'll go back all the way to Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof's the other one, which, does anyone, okay, let me ask you something. A lot of you are right-leaning or on the right. Is there anybody in this, that anyone you know of? Is there anyone that you know of on the right who supports or supported Dylan Roof? Because I know everyone I can think of who's like, Dylan Roof, fuck that guy. He went out and murdered people in a church. Fuck that guy. But the left is like, oh, he was a right-wing extremist. Nah, he's a fucking asshole. Fuck that guy. Yeah, fuck Dylan Roof. Nobody gives a shit about Dylan Roof. Nobody claims him. Nobody wants him. He's an asshole. Okay? He's a little punk bitch asshole who killed a bunch of people in a church. Stand by. The program will begin soon. Reverend Robin Bartlett of First Church of Sterling, Massachusetts, uses John 1:14 in the Bible to justify why she brings her 11-year-old son to drag shows. This is what we're getting in the Rainbow Church. The Rainbow Church aren't exactly hiding. That's true. The Word became flesh and lived among us, and my body, your body, their bodies are home for the living God. That is why I take my 11-year-old boy to drag shows in the summer with my friend and fellow church leaders, Kate, and her 11-year-old boy. Especially if you're a man, bodies can be celebrated and played with. That's her message. What the fuck? California wants to let someone that is not related to your child remove her from school, him or her, enroll her in any other school in the state, authorize any medical treatment, including mental health services and drugs, without the parent's notice and knowledge or consent. Can you see what that might be a problem? This is not fear-mongering. I'm not being hyperbolic, she warned. These are unintended consequences, and it's terrifying. They are unconscionable. They're unavoidable. So that's one really bad California law that they're coming with. I can't believe it. I'm just dumbfounded that they're doing it. Now this is interesting. That new mayor candidate, the leading Democratic mayor candidate for New York City mayor, Mamdani, wants cops to stop responding to attacks on Jews. And by the way, Jews in the New York City are victims of the majority of hate crimes. Not a plurality, but the majority of hate crimes against people in New York are against Jewish people. And especially religious hate crimes. Anyway, 345 hate crimes in New York City last year, more than all other minority groups combined, according to New York Police Department data. And Jewish crimes accounted for 54% of the 641 total hate crimes reported to police in the city in 2024. Since the beginning of the year, 60% of the 123 reported hate crimes have targeted Jews, according to the New York Police Department. Well, Zohran Mamdani, the radical Islamist and leftist terrorist supporter, has proposed that the New York Police Department not respond to hate crimes, instead that they be handled by social workers. Either this shifts resources away from responding to attacks on Jews and moves away from having law enforcement deal with those attacks, and instead has his political leftist allies deal with them by burying them. Every day on my show, if I put something on the screen, or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Yeah! Yes. It's, what's today? Tuesday? Okay, let's get it started. Hey, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet, and welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel, where I'm drinking coffee and talking news. That sounds like every day, doesn't it? Well, it's because it pretty much is, even on the days I'm not doing this show. I got the good old, let's see, this is the California Surf Museum Cup from Oceanside, California. As you know, Lady Boomer and I like to go to quirky museums, or just, museums that are out of the ordinary, stuff that we don't, necessarily care about, but just, if there's a museum, we'll go to it. And when we were in Oceanside, California a few years ago, we went to the California Surf Museum, and it was actually very cool. I don't know jack about surfing, or I didn't before I went in there, and I learned a lot. I mean, the origins of surfing, some of the longboards they started with, and that girl that got her arm bit off by the shark, her surfboard was in there with the big old bite mark out of it and shit. It was pretty cool museum, actually. I was like, okay, I don't know jack about surfing, but this is cool. So anyway, so I always recommend people go to a quirky museum sometime. We also, like, even that weekend we went up north we went to the Bronco Nagurski Museum. Now, Bronco Nagurski is this famous Minnesota Gopher football player who also was the Chicago Bears. They're called the Monsters of the Midway. Bronco Nagurski was the original monster of the Midway. He was a fullback and he played defense, whatever. He's just a famous Chicago Bear football player, and he eventually became a professional wrestler. And in that museum, I learned that when Bronco Nagurski was a professional wrestler, that was around the same time that Vern Gagne was a professional wrestler. Vern Gagne of the AWA fame owned the AWA, and then which kind of morphed into the WWF, and so on and so forth. At least a lot of the wrestlers ended up in the WWF. So yeah, there's a picture of Bronco Nagurski and Vern Gagne when Vern Gagne was in professional wrestling. So, and it's funny because Bronco Nagurski dwarfed Vern Gagne. Now, Vern Gagne, I don't know, was all that big of a man, but Vern Gagne was still wrestling when I was a kid. He was wrestling and his son was wrestling. It was kind of wild. So anyway, that took me back just seeing a picture of Vern Gagne wrestling. So anyway, enough blither blather. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Who got here first? Oh goodness, is this correct? By the way, share the stream if you haven't already. I appreciate those who do that all the time. First in chat today, looks like it's Mike Savage. Blarg gets the bell. Yeah. Congratulations, Mike Savage. Here bright and early, although it's afternoon for you. Anyway, also good morning, Avocados Diablos in the house. And also Green Badger Outdoors, Blue Eyed Scream, Midnight. What's up, young lady? Plague Trucker Zach's in the house. Let's see. Sorry. Burped there. Here, hang on. If you want, just little what is it? ASMR? Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called? Here's my ASMR. Sip of my coffee. Does that work? Does that do it? Okay. Hi also to Ms. Wild Wolf. Excuse me. Went down the wrong way. Did I already say? No, I did not say. Blue-Eyed Scream. Good morning. What's up? Lou is in the house. Lou. Renee Mayette is here. Good morning. Darren Root. Willie is in the chat. And Darren Root. And is that everybody? No, Sound Double Nation. What's up? I see you. Oh, I got to scroll farther. That's all. All right. There you go. That slurp sounded anti-Semitic. Damn. What the what? How? I need Woo here. I need Woo to let me know if that slurp was anti-Semitic. That'd be just wrong. Anyway, thanks for all of you being here. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. Oh, and the Pope's here. Good morning, Pope Tyrannus III, the Blessed Glitch, with our daily message of hope. And here it is. Blessing of the divine dead. Life is a wonderful thing. Sometimes you are born into your perfect family. Sometimes you find them along your journey through life. Cherish them always. Got a little verklempt because I didn't really find my family until I was 4 years old. And then I found the rest of my natural family when I was in my 40s. But yeah, cherish them all. Cherish them all. Don't. Life's more important than to lose your family. Unless your family is a bunch of crackpots. But anyway, we got the idea there. Thank you, Pope Tyrannus III. All right, let's thank a few people and get this thing going because it takes a minute for me to get this thing going. So, and plus, I'm actually I'm a little ahead of time what I usually am, even though I'm still late. Anyway, thanks to the people sharing the show. The first Let's Go even beat the people who normally tweet out the stream. Green Badger Outdoors with Let's Go says truth will ultimately prevail where there is pain to bring it to light. What? Truth will ultimately prevail where there is pains to bring it to life. Oh, so pains as an effort to bring it to life. So that's a quote by George Washington in theory. Now I never trust internet quotes anymore because people make shit up, but that sounds like a good quote, even if I'm not sure if it's real. But thank you for the let's go, and we'll do a little repost there of that. Also, Somnambule Nation tweeting out the show. As always, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And someone else with a let's go. We got Kermit the Frog doing a little, what's that guy? The Carlton dance from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There we go. Thank you. Link in description, a.k.a. Somnambule Nation. Also, Ms. Wildwolf tweeting out the show. Greatly appreciate it. And we're just reposting as we go. And then reposted there. Let's see. Oh, and the kitty got a cute kitty, a fuzzy fuzzball. The kitty putting on some sunglasses. Isn't that special? Thank you. That's one of the let's goes. Also, if you haven't replied to the tweet that's pinned to the top of the chat, click that link and give me a let's go with a GIF or a meme or something funny or something stupid. I don't care what it is. Anyway, thank you, Mike Savage, with the daily reply of let us go. Very proper and prim. Let us go. And Ty Alexander with the daily Ric Flair. Woo! So there you go. Speaking of wrestling things that we post on the internet often. All right. Thanks everyone for sharing the show. Now, somebody who sent me what's this message? Let me find out what this message is. Is that from? Oh, this is Ms. Wildwood. Sent me a link to. Oh, are you? Kirk assassination. Neck wound, not from a bullet or an explosion. Uh-oh. Yeah, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff. And y'all are, hang on a second. Are you all streaming right now? Is this like, oh, I see. No, this is a stream you did this morning. And I'm going to pause. Okay. So that was this morning's stream for you guys. I'll put here. I'm going to put y'all's link in here. You got to go check out Miss Wildwolf. Her YouTube channel is right here in the chat. I know I post it every once in a while when she's streaming, but there you go. All right. Coolio. All right. And then there's a lot of intrigue about this Charlie Kirk assassination. There's a lot of people have lots of theories and shit, and I'm just sitting back and waiting to see. I'm just waiting to see. I mean, right now there's no what do you call that? The bullets when you're checking what kind what do you call it? Ballistic report? There's no ballistic report. I haven't heard a medical report. I haven't heard anything. But people are just wildly speculating about all kinds of shit when it comes to that. And it's fascinating. Let's just say it's fascinating. And hopefully we'll get some solid, reliable information sometime soon. Now people are saying that the kid's father didn't really turn him in, that the police told him some of this and that, and you match a description. We don't know what's going on. I hope we get some answers sometime soon. All right. Also, good morning, Anon. 1, 2, 3. Is in the house. Good morning. And Little Wild Wolf is here too. Nice to have you here. All right, let's move on. Let's get into some of the show. Now, yesterday, you know what I forgot to do yesterday? Well, I did the holidays, but I wasn't all that diligent about finding holidays. And I failed to mention that yesterday was Thanksgiving in Canada, or at least it said, well, yeah, it was Canadian Thanksgiving or some shit like that, which I didn't, I don't know when you normally, any of my Canadian friends, I didn't see any Canadians here yet. Are they out? They're so busy celebrating Thanksgiving or working off a Thanksgiving hangover that I don't see any of you yet. But anyway, apparently it was Thanksgiving yesterday, and there was a post, and I'm looking at some of these posts. I'm confused. I'm really confused about Canadian Thanksgiving. So let me give you an example. So this is something called Canada Hates Trump. This is some anti-Trump Canada account, right? On this Thanksgiving weekend, Canadians give thanks for family, friends, and the fact that we don't live in the USA. Happy Thanksgiving, Canada. And I was thinking to myself, most of you Canadians would probably be able to afford to live in the United States a lot better than you do in Canada, because shit's expensive up there. It's amazing. Houses up there, like my house, I mean, I have a decent sized house for, you know, a black guy in Minnesota, but like my house would go for millions of dollars in Canada because houses are so friggin' expensive. But that wasn't even the only thing that confused me, because this person on Thanksgiving is thinking about politics in the USA when you don't even fucking live in the United States. But I digress. Hello, Plague Trucker Zach. What's up? So anyway, and I'm scrolling through this, and I can't scroll too far. But in fact, I'm gonna just, here's what I'll do. I'll just open the hang on, let me move this over here. I'll open a couple of them that confused me. So someone put this picture up, and I was looking at this, and I was trying to figure it out, because as you can see, it says Canadian Thanksgiving, and it's in the fall with the leaves all what are nice and shit. And then it says American Thanksgiving with snow. But then I was thinking to myself, wait a minute. Thanksgiving in most of the United States also looks like that. You know what I'm saying? Thanksgiving in the United States mostly looks like that. Unless you live in the, you know, around the meridians that Canada, but even in Minnesota where I live, it's rarely like this during Thanksgiving. It's usually, now the leaves are usually gone by then, at least where I live. They haven't, because they've turned and already been, you know, peak fall colors in Minnesota ends about the middle to the third week of October, you know, through the whole state. But most of the rest of the country looks like that. Okay. And I thought, oh, well, maybe this is just someone who doesn't understand. Now, the UP looks like the bottom one. Yeah, the UP can look like the bottom one. Northern Minnesota, you know, if you live in International Falls, it might look like that. You get some snow up there this early or at Thanksgiving. But usually by Thanksgiving, generally we get our first snows in my part of Minnesota around Thanksgiving. But the rest of the country, again, looks like that. Now, I thought maybe they're just thinking, well, Canadian Thanksgiving, Canada looks like this. And then American Thanksgiving, Canada looks like this, which who gives a fuck? Because you're in Canada, it's not your Thanksgiving. And I thought, oh, is that the only one? No, there were several of these. There's another one where it's like Canadian Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. No, only in the really north, like basically just in Minnesota. Like in northern Minnesota, you might get that. But like even where, you know, by the way, did you know that Minneapolis is north of most of the Canadian population? I know I said this before, but doesn't that sound weird? Like a lot of the United States, because most of the people who live in Canada live like around the Great Lakes, kind of, or around or Vancouver, whatever. I live north of most of the Great Lakes, except for Superior, but like they live in the lower. So it's weird. That's a weird thing, because you know, like, you know, and same in the East Coast. Most of the United States look like this during Thanksgiving, not like this. So I'm just curious why Canadians seem to think that. Maybe it's just because they think in Canada during our Thanksgiving they're buried in snow. Okay, all right, well, whatever. You live in Canada, fuck off. Except for my friends from Canada. I don't mean to like all of Canada, just the Canadians who put up shit like that. So I don't know why that was interesting. Other holidays, though, there are some actual holidays going on. It's National I Love You Day. Tell someone I love you. I'm someone. Come on, tell me you love me. Also, it's National Dessert Day. You know, I stopped eating desserts a long time ago. Maybe once a month I'll have a dessert. I'm not really big in desserts anymore. Although I love dessert. I love sweets and shit, but I just don't eat desserts anymore. You know, most of the places, if you go out to eat, most places have way too big of portions to have room for dessert anyway. I mean, half the stuff I get in a restaurant, it's like you can eat half of it and take the rest home and still have another meal out of it. So, oh, thank you, Avocados Diabli. Aww. I need to have some new sound effects. Anyway, also it's National Face Your Fears Day. I know y'all fear me. That's why you're not telling me you love me. National Ryan Day, if anyone's named Ryan. Bald. Be bald and be free day. Yeah. You know what? Since I started shaving my head about, how long's it been? 8 years? 9 years, maybe 10. Yeah, about when I moved in this house. So it's been 10, 11 years. Ever since I started shaving my head, you know how much hair maintenance is so much easier now? Even shaving my head is easier than dealing with having hair. I really enjoy it. So anyway, be bald and be free. Embrace your baldness and freedom. And it's funny because I was shaving my head before I started getting a bald spot, but now I am getting an actual bald spot, but it's, it's still pretty small. Anyway, International Day of Respect for Cultural Diversity Day. Okay. Look, cultural diversity is cool, as long as it doesn't kill you. Hello, TC. What's up? National Native American Day, which is the day after Indigenous Peoples Day. I don't understand why we're going to keep doing this. And also, you know what they do? Because they also make Thanksgiving Indigenous People Day. So they just, anytime there's an American holiday, they try to make it an Indigenous Peoples Day because they think they're being noble. And I don't mean the noble, the Indians and whatnot. I mean, they think it's just some virtue signaling bullshit to me. It's like, okay, if you're one of those people who have to do a land acknowledgement, I got a suggestion. You can donate your land that you own, any land or property you own. Go ahead and donate it to the indigenous people of your area then. And shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear your fucking virtue signaling. Anyway, ADA Lovelace Day. What does that mean? Okay, that's ADA Love. That's a name? Don't miss out on celebrating the incredible contributions of ADA Lovelace. Is she related to Linda? Oh, God. If you know that reference, I'm ashamed of you. National Katie Day, if your name's Katie. National Veronica Day. God, what the names? World Standards Day. Whose standards? And then there's a couple others that I can't pronounce, and Health and Sports Day in Japan. So there you go. Happy whatever holiday you're celebrating today. Moving on. Happy birthday. Oh, the celebrity birthday day. One celebrity. Well, he's a well-known figure. Unfortunately, in his posthumous state. Today is Charlie Kirk's birthday. People are putting out messages on X. Happy birthday to Charlie Kirk. Oh, some people are being assholes about it. There's someone painted Charlie Kirk on their damn barn. That's something else. Look at that. Some account naming itself Lucifer. Happy birthday, Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk tweeted, "It's fucking hot down here." Fuck off, you assholes. What is this? Ave Maria University in Florida commissions sculpture of Jesus Christ embracing Charlie Kirk. I added my own interpretation of how Jesus would have received the idea of this ridiculous bust. Okay, well, that's your opinion. There's a lot of people pissed off at Charlie Kirk after he's been dead for however long he's been dead. Anyway, happy birthday, man. Inspired millions to think for themselves and love this country unapologetically. Charlie's impact continues to move hearts, challenge minds, and bring people together under truth. Happy birthday, Charlie Kirk. That's what I gotta say. That's what I'm talking about. This one's gonna get its own little tweet there, or little link today, because I think that's true. Look, so many people trying to diminish what Charlie Kirk actually was by taking snippets of things he said and molding it to their perception of people. I heard someone say that Charlie Kirk was a Christian nationalist today. And I was like, well, no, he was Christian, but he was also nationalist, and he believed in the separation of church and state. There's plenty of examples of him. For example, he was berating some guy for bashing gay people, saying, "Look, I am a Christian, but I also we're not a theocracy. people can live their lives in freedom and this and that. And he made this whole spiel of why it's stupid to bash gay people. But then some people say, oh, he's a homophobe, he's a transphobe, he's that. No, he just has his beliefs and wants people to believe what he believes, but also believes everyone had the freedom to believe what they believe too. And that's a big misperception about Charlie Kirk. And again, this comes from someone who's wasn't a fan of Charlie Kirk. But now that I'm kind of gone down that little rabbit hole and started listening to more stuff that he's done and realizing all the people calling him a racist, a misogynist, and all this other bullshit. No, not at all. No. White supremacist? No, not at all. Homophobic? No, not at all. He just talked to people and was strong in his own beliefs, but never tried to impose his beliefs. He would try to convince people, and if they didn't, well, that's what it was. So, happy birthday to Charlie Kirk. Now, speaking of Charlie Kirk, also today, as President Trump gets back from the Middle East, he's going to posthumously award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk. Here's the thing. After a jam-packed 36 hours, President Trump has arrived back home in Washington, D.C. from Israel. In the wee hours of the morning, this man's an absolute legend and never stops. Next up, awarding Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom at 4 p.m. today. I don't know if that's Eastern time or whatever, but he's going to, I guess, give it to his wife. He should be turning 32. Instead, President Trump will be posthumously awarding Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Let's never forget Charlie's devotion to Jesus Christ and his love for this amazing country, and we are blessed to call home. My prayers will be with Erica Kirk as he accepts this honor on Charlie's behalf. So for Charlie. So anyway, happy birthday, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk. Now, let's go to the other opposite, or go to the opposite end of the spectrum of what's happening in this weekend. And I actually might have to dig out. Why is my watch doing that? This weekend, the 18th, a totally organic and spontaneous protest is going to be happening, known as No Kings. The No Kings protest. They're having another one on the 18th of October. Now, I know that some of their fire is being diminished by the fact that we have this Israel, Palestinian, Gaza, Hamas, whatever deal, right? So I know, because I know for a fact that a lot of the people are going to use this No Kings protest to protest the war, right? Protest the Israelis. And so that's kind of out of the picture. But now, something funny about this, they've been planning this protest, I want to say for like 2.5 months, 3 months now, like ever since, I'm going to say July, when there was another one in July, and they said they had another one scheduled for October 18th. I've known this date for a long time. No Kings protests are already successful since 1776. Yes, we did do that. And so a lot of people are posting, oh, drop it and repost if you support the No Kings protest. Who is with us? Yeah, not me. But I may go out to this weekend and see if I can go out and do some interviews on the street. Hello, Cashapp. What up, Kirsten? Nice to see you. But I saw a couple interesting things. First one was this one. This is someone actually wrote this, and I'm like, why? And I don't know who Denise is. Denise has 11,000 followers, and she's following 11,000 people. Republicans are trying to discourage turnout on No King's Day so that Trump doesn't get embarrassed. The protests are not only peaceful, they are therapeutic. It's great to be surrounded by others who want freedom as much as you do. Don't fear going. Join America's Patriots. I haven't heard any Republicans even give a shit about this. You guys go out and protest on the all the time. Who gives a shit if you go out and protest? You're gonna go out. You're gonna walk through the street. You're gonna chant some chants, and as long as it's peaceful, no one gives a fuck. No one's discouraging you. I encourage you to go out there. I'd want to know who the idiots are. I shouldn't say idiots. I know I have family members who are going to be out at those protests. They're not idiots, but they just have their thing, right? But I'm just like, how many of these damn No Kings protests are you going to have? And here's the original No Kings protest. True. And so all these people, on October 18th, millions of brave Americans will stand up and peacefully protest against the Arthurian disease metastasizing under Donald Trump. What's brave about this? There's nothing brave about it. You all are in the street all the time. It's become completely cliche. Completely cliche. So anyway, be a part of the biggest peaceful protest of all time. No Kings, pass it on. Likely find an event near you and top comment. I don't care. Have your little protest, whatever. It's funny that you go out and protest authoritarianism when you would celebrate authoritarianism. You loved it during COVID. You embraced authoritarianism. You loved authoritarianism. You loved to. I bet, I would guess that most of the people who go to this No Kings protest wish we could treat people for offending other peoples like they do in England, for example, where they arrest people and throw them in jail for offensive Facebook posts. And the people who get jailed for like offensive Facebook posts in England, Great Britain, whatever, and Germany too, and there's, it's not the only place. People who get arrested and jailed for those things, get more jail time than it's the people who sexually violate young people forcefully without their will. Starts the R word, that word. They get more jail time than people who get convicted of that in England. There was one of those grape gangs that went to trial. They had video evidence of what they were doing. They had eyewitnesses. They had everything. There was a group of 11 men who went to trial for that, right? And only one of the 11 who all participated, if you know what I mean, only one of them got jail time. And they got, I think, 18 months of jail time. The rest were all fine and got probation, whatever, for violating an 11-year-old child. There was a mother who got arrested for an offensive Facebook post who got 20 months in prison. So 16 months for the person who committed the violation of a child, 20 months for someone who had an offensive Facebook post. They've lost their fucking minds. But I'll tell you what. Oh, by the way, the grape gang, they were religion of peace. So you always get a little bit of leeway because, they give some cultural considerations because they were part of the religion of peace. There are people in this country who want that, who think you should be able to be put in prison for hate speech. So y'all protesting No Kings, until you stop embracing that bullshit, you can kiss all of my ass. Anyway, all right, so that's coming up. No Kings. Hello, by the way, Green Badger. Oh, you were here already. Select Boys in the house. What's up?
Yeah, boy.
And Jay Blizza, JB. Good morning. How you doing? All right. Where was I? All right. Let's do a couple newsy items. Apparently, Speaker Jeffries. They're still arguing about the government shutdown, which I guess I haven't noticed too much yet. I mean, I'm assuming that something's going to happen. Jay Pylon, what's up? Nice to see you, man. It's been a while. Turnip here. Turnip. what's his first name? I don't even, Hakeem Turnip Jeffries, as in he has the charisma of a turnip, apparently thinks there's definitely no reason to ever trust Republicans. Oh, that's an unfortunate screen freeze. Here's what he said on MSNBC's, was it Face the Nation? I don't know, something. Here's the speaker. How long is this? This better be short. Or is this the whole, what the hell? Come on, failed to play video. We failed to play the video due to technical issue or whatever. Anyway, Monday on MSNBC's Katie Tur reports, Katie Turd, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said there was no reason to trust Republicans on this government shutdown. So see, it's funny because now all of a sudden, some of these mainstream media people are asking the Democrats, hey, just out of curiosity, the Republicans didn't add anything to that continuing resolution. They just want to keep the government running while you negotiate some other stuff. Why is it that you are not letting the government open up? And they're not sure how to answer. They're like, they think, well, the Republicans shut down the government. No, wait a minute. They've been voting to open the government and then negotiate the other stuff. He says, well, so here's how Katie Tur answers the question. Banks, what's up, Robert Banks? How you doing, brother? So Kerr says the Republicans have put forward a clean continuing resolution. That means they're not changing funding levels. They just want us to pass for a short time, an extended period of time while they work out other issues. Do you not trust that if you signed on this, and the Senate Democrats signed on this, that the Republicans would then come and negotiate and compromise on those health care subsidies? Because here's the problem. Those Obamacare subsidies that the Democrats are fighting about, they end at the end of the year. They're not like right now. Those would be long after they're done negotiating this. So them saying that, oh, well, they want to gut the Obamacare subsidies. No, they're not due to expire till the end of the year. So here's what Jeffrey says. Well, there is definitely no reason to ever trust Republicans, particularly as it relates to the health care issue and the Affordable Care Act. I'm just trying to do it in his cadence. These people have now tried more than 70 different times over the last 15 years to repeal the Affordable Care Act. So there is no reasonable basis to conclude that if they simply gave their word as it relates to dealing with the Affordable Care Act tax credits, that they'll actually move toward legislative resolution. The other thing that's important to point out is that this is not a bipartisan spending bill that they're asking House and Senate Democrats to vote on, and Senate Democrats have held the line in such an extraordinary way. You're right, because it's a continuing resolution, dumbass. It's not a spending bill. It's just continuing at the current levels, which already been voted on. This is still Biden budget. The new budget doesn't start until January. So it's like they're just holding their breath and stomping their feet, and nobody's listening. He added that this is a partisan Republican spending bill that many of us strongly objected to in March because it cut veterans' health care, and he gives all the scare things. Oh, they're cutting this, they're cutting every other thing. But he's lying. And also, everyone's beginning to figure out that it's not the Republicans who are keeping the government closed. It's the Senate Democrats. So anyway, all right, so there's that. And then also, let's see. Apparently, there's a Ford Foundation funded group is holding a teach-in honoring Assata Shakur passed away in Cuba. She self-exiled, and apparently they're going to be some group's going to be honoring her with a teach-in. A Black Radical magazine funded largely by the Ford Foundation, a new venture fund One of the Democratic Party's largest dark money groups is holding a teach-in on Monday for Assata Shakur, the Black Liberation Army foot soldier who was convicted of murdering a New Jersey state trooper in 1973. Hammer and Hope, also known as the Black Radical Project, will hold a teach-in at a Brooklyn bookstore on Monday to celebrate the life and political legacy of Shakur, who died last month in Cuba, where she had lived in exile for decades. Attendees will learn how to continue the work of Assata. Do we want to teach that? She killed the cop. Said Monifa Bandele, an event organizer who previously served as chief executive of the Me Too era group Time's Up, Shakur was one of the FBI's most wanted terrorists. So that's interesting. And it's not so much interesting that they're doing it, because if they want to celebrate Assata Shakur, I don't care. But it's interesting that the Ford Foundation is funding the event, which is interesting to me. So that's the only reason I brought it up. Middle East is trending. Everything else is about the Middle East. I got about 20 minutes to talk about this. So as we know, there's this historic deal in the Middle East. And some people are, it's funny. Now that Trump has done this, there's a lot of people who aren't happy about it. Particularly probably all those college protesters that been saying ceasefire now. Well, now they have a ceasefire. Now they're all mad because, well, we didn't get rid of Israel from the river to the sea. And also a lot of people are trying to give Biden credit. Hello, Lindsay. What's up? I see you there. And also a lot of people just bending over backwards and trying to give Biden credit. Well, Biden got more of the hostages released earlier and they didn't get anything done, whatever. So there's people very much invested in giving Biden credit for this somehow. Which granted, Biden did get some hostage release, but the war ended because of Trump's efforts and they got a lot of people signing on to this. So people all over the Middle East are signing on to this deal, right? So, whoa, that's loud. TC dropping a 6 spot in the tip jar. Oh, here we go. Thank you, TC, dropping $6 in the tip jar. And you are now the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. So, if you haven't been around for a while, TC has been offering to take one for the team by betting down various politicians and public figures. Not too long ago, it was Dianne Feinstein, to which I said, she's dead. That's gross either. And if she wasn't dead. And then I can't remember the other. Yesterday it was Kamala Harris, who, look, whatever you think of Kamala Harris is a decent, nice looking lady and whatever. And back in the day, I'd have probably, thought about it too, because, well, I would have thought about it because she was a fine individual. But today, TC, the Daily, I would sacrifice myself for America recipient today. He says, to make up for yesterday's pick, I would stick my poll in Frederica Wilson for America. I salute you, sir. You are definitely taking one for the team. If you're not sure who Frederica Wilson is, Frederica is I don't know, she's still in Congress. She's the one who always wears the cowboy hats. That's Frederica Wilson. And there you go, TC. Again, thank you for proudly offering to take one for the team. Okay, back to what I was trying to talk about here. So lots of people are talking about the Middle East deal. So Middle East is trending, Hamas is trending. A couple of politicians have also, oh, wait, what's this? Oh, and Gaza's trending. Here's someone says, our friend from Gaza thanks Trump for the ceasefire in the right way. Here's someone, a Palestinian person thanking President Trump.
People told me thanks Trump for the ceasefire. Let's thank him in the right way. Thank you for giving the IDF billions of dollars to define themselves from our children. Thank you for using the veto, not once, 10 times to make sure the bomb's falling for us.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for sending smart muscle. It's so smart. Always find their way to our children. Thank you for calling it.
I'll say this is
I
propaganda.
didn't know defense mean bombing school and hospital. And thank you for your silence. It's so louder than an exploitation we hear.
You know what's funny about that? So he's saying, oh, you were targeting our children. No, I wasn't targeting children. And also, maybe if you wouldn't put military installations and rockets under schools and hospitals, have tunnels, have all your Hamas leaders hiding under tunnels, under schools and under mosques and hospitals and schools, whatever. Maybe they wouldn't have to bomb those. So, welcome to war. You asked for the war, and you got the war that you asked for. And once they were destroying everything around you, then you're going to complain how they do it? That's interesting. I'm fascinated by that. Now, here's one. Remember, folks, in 2023, President Joe Biden helped release 105 hostages in Gaza. He just simply didn't make a sick show about it. That's the difference between leaders and the showman. Except the showman got the ceasefire. That's a little different. Yeah, that's great. So lots of people are now trying to give Biden credit for some of this. Now, a couple things. Kamala Harris, where's the Kamala Harris one? Here it is. She made a statement, and this is interesting because I wanted to play this. Oh, by the way, thank you, TC. Another deuce in the tip jar. Appreciate you. Who says, enough of this slander against my good name. I'm directing the woodchuck that handles my affairs to draft a cease and desist. I don't know who you think is defaming you, but whatever. Okay, thanks, man. All right, here's a statement from Kamala Harris that she posted. She posted this. My statement from the Middle East. Statement from Vice President Kamala Harris, which first of all, I'm trying to figure out who asked her to make a statement. But here we go. She goes, listen to this, because this is interesting what she did. And that's why I'm reading it. She says, I am thankful and deeply encouraged that this ceasefire has brought a long-awaited moment of joy and reunion as 20 Israeli hostages are finally reunited with their loved ones, and Palestinian families and the people of Gaza begin to receive desperately needed relief from unimaginable suffering. Okay. Through diplomacy and persistence, today is an important first step toward a more hopeful future. I commend the leaders and partners whose efforts made this agreement possible, including the president and his team. Interesting, she doesn't use his name. There is still much work to do to secure a lasting peace, ensure the safety and dignity of every innocent life, and build a future where Israelis and Palestinians can live side by side in freedom and security. Now, I could have sworn that since 2006, that would have been the case. Hello, Cryptic, what's up? That would have been the case when Israel left Gaza. But apparently there was a little bit of a little problem with that there. The open air prison where leaders of the people that people elected were driving around in supercars and shit, and they had shops and malls and lovely place when they're not building tunnels to attack Israel from, but whatever. So anyway, interesting that she can't use the president's name, but whatever. At least she gave the president some credit there. And it's funny, through diplomacy and persistence, the way she said, I commend the leaders and partners with those efforts that made this agreement possible, including the president and his team. Yeah, in a way, he kind of let it, but I suppose there's a lot of people involved. So I'm not, whatever, how she says that. Then also, Joe Biden made a statement. He said, I am deeply grateful and relieved that this day has come for the last living 20 hostages who have been through unimaginable hell and are finally reunited with their families. Someone wrote this for him. and loved ones, and for the civilians in Gaza who have experienced immeasurable loss and will finally get a chance to rebuild their lives. The road to this deal was not easy. My administration worked relentlessly to bring the hostages home, get relief to Palestinian civilians, and end the war. I commend President Trump and his team for their work to get a renewed ceasefire deal over the finish line. So he kind of took some credit for it, I guess. Which, look, they've been working on this for a long time. It's okay to say that. Now, with the backing of the United States and the world, the Middle East is on a path to peace that I hope endures for future Israelis and Palestinians alike, with equal measures of peace, dignity, and safety. So, and then there's people praising Joe Biden for his magnanimous statement. Whatever. Look, the deals President Trump's getting credit for. Donald Trump, Middle Eastern leaders signed peace agreement in historic Egypt summit flanked by world leaders. President Trump and about 24 world leaders displayed robust unity at the Middle East peace signing ceremony regarding the first phase of a historic peace agreement between Israel and Hamas. Trump, along with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Emir of Qatar, Tam bin Hamad Al Thani, and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan signed the agreements, which signed the documents in Sharm el-Sheikh hours after Trump gave a powerful speech to the Knesset in Tel Aviv. World leaders, including Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, French President Emmanuel Macron, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, and many more, looked on as the four leaders signed the documents. The people behind me are the greatest leaders, the most powerful leaders, and the richest leaders, frankly, he said. Sometimes it's not politically correct to say that, but I'll say it. That's funny. Trump stated that they are all people that really care for their countries, and why this happened is they all came together and they wanted to get Gaza straightened out. Everybody's happy about it, like I've never seen before. Actually, that's so Trump. Like I've never seen before. No one, never anyone's done this before. I've done other deals and people don't care as much. He went on to add, big deals. I think they're big deals, but this is something that's taken off like a rocket ship, and it did from the beginning. He emphasized that the prospect of a peace deal in the Middle East has long looked daunting, with many saying it could not materialize. It could never be done. Hello, Shrapnel, by the way. And then he posed for photos with various people, whatnot. So there you go. Thank you. Oh, Joe Biden tipped on here. Joe Biden says, come on, man. A 6 spot. It says, I need to sniff, not stiff. You never know, it's Joe Biden. I need to sniff another child. It might cure my cancer. By the way, he did start cancer treatments this week. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you, Joe Biden. Okay, now, and then, as I said yesterday, Trump addressed the Israeli parliament. If you want more details on that, I have an article open about that, but we're not going to go through it. I wanted, but this is interesting. Now, this is interesting. Trump, while he was over there, received Egypt's highest state honor, the Order of the Nile. As part of his current tour of the Middle East, President Donald Trump attended a summit of world leaders hosted by Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. The Egyptian president told the summit of world leaders Monday that the U.S. President Donald Trump's Mideast proposal represents the last chance for peace in the region, and reiterated his call for a two-state solution, saying Palestinians have the right to an independent state. Well, if they would have just not jumped back into... Oh, thank you, Back Alley Scam Chats. 6 Palestinians killed by Israel within 13 hours of peace deal in 2 incidents. Well, you know what else happened? Hamas executed a bunch of people yesterday. So, yeah, there's still some shit going on that's probably shouldn't be going on. But in other words, they're trying to get this shit worked out. Let's see. You're talking about before they signed it. You mean before they signed it? Is that what you're talking about? It happened 2 days ago, or 2 or 3 days ago, after they were announcing they were doing the peace deal. They hadn't finalized it yet. Yeah, I heard that happen too. Interesting, though. Welcome to the show, by the way. Back Scally chats, if you're still here. All right. Let's see. The Egyptian president told some of the world leaders that U.S. President Donald Trump's Mideast proposal represents the last chance for peace in the region and reiterated his call for a two-state solution, saying Palestinians have the right to an independent state. The summit in Egypt's Red Sea resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh was aimed at supporting ceasefire reaching Gaza, ending the Israeli-Hamas war, and developing a long-term vision for governing and rebuilding the devastating Palestinian territory. Trump plans to hold out the possibility of a Palestinian state, but only after a lengthy transition period in Gaza and a reform process by the internationally recognized Palestinian Authority. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu proposes Palestinian independence. Now, during his speech, el-Sisi awarded Trump the Order of the Nile, the country's highest state honor. The Collar of the Nile, sometimes referred to as the Order of the Nile, is Egypt's most prestigious decoration, symbolizing the unity of Upper and Lower Egypt through life-giving Nile River. Made of gold and adorned with pharaohic motifs and precious stones, it's traditionally awarded by president's decree to heads of state and figures whose efforts have offered exceptional service to Egypt and humanity. So, interesting. Very interesting. You know, the other thing, I got a question. I'm assuming that you are, I don't know what the word would be, pro-Palestinian or whatever. I'm sure that I get the idea that you may be. Here's my question for you. If you have, maybe you have an answer for this, or maybe you don't. Why is it that none of the protesters who protest about the Palestinians in Gaza and about Israel's so-called blockade of Gaza, or whatever, how come they never complain about Egypt or Jordan or any other Middle East countries that want nothing to do with the Palestinians? Because most of these countries are very, very reluctant to have any Palestinians come there. And in fact, was it Syria where Syria's killed more Palestinians than Israel has. So I'm just curious about that. But especially Egypt, because Egypt has a border with Gaza too, which is completely sealed off. So I'm just interested. I'm just curious if you have an answer to that, if anyone has an answer to that. I welcome you here. I'm glad you're here. I love to be informed by people that stuff I don't normally listen to. Other people though that are not happy about this deal. One of them is Mr. Mamdani in New York, the guy running for mayor, Democratic Socialists of America, the organization backing New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, has denounced the conditional ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas and called for continued resistance against the Jewish state in a sentiment released Monday. The DSA declaration titled "Until Palestinian Liberation." When they say Palestinian liberation, what do they mean? Because since 2006, they've had Gaza to themselves. They've had the West Bank to themselves. There's part of the West Bank that's been disputed. But what does that mean, Palestinian liberation, when Gaza was all theirs since 2006? But I digress. They say the declaration titled "Until Palestinian Liberation" came days after Israel and Hamas agreed to halt fighting and begin exchanging hostages and prisoners under U.S. and Arab brokered deal. The far-left group said the truce will not end Israel's assault on the Palestinian people or the theft and occupation of Palestinian lands. What exactly are Palestinian lands, too? That's what I don't get. It's kind of a misnomer. The Palestinian lands are Gaza and the West Bank, if you want to say just Palestinian, because there are Arab, Palestinian, whatever, people who live in Israel. Like, it's 20% of the population of Israel is Arab. And they live and work and are politicians and do everything else in there. So which Palestinian lands are Palestinian lands? I just don't understand that. Hello, Evan S., by the way. And then it also, they said, describing the conditional ceasefire that does not wash the hands of the ruling class that continue to fuel and arm genocide while stoking regional war. And the whole genocide thing, I ask this every time I see the word genocide referred to in Palestinians. When according to the Palestinian Health Ministry, they're the ones who tell you how many Palestinians have been killed. Their numbers, not Israel's numbers, but the Palestinian Health Ministry's numbers, say 60,000 or 67,000 Palestinians have been killed in the war. And again, it's a combination of combatants and I'll call them human shields, because that's basically what they've been, because Hamas doesn't let them leave when they say, you know, Israel drops flyers saying we're going to be targeting here because we're getting that thing and tunnel down there. And then the Hamas says, no, we want you here as human shields so that we can bolster our civilian casualties. But again, 67,000 out of between 6 and 7 million Palestinians. How is that a genocide? I don't understand. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the word genocide, especially when Israel tells them where they're going to be bombing. Hell, they call people, say, hey, get out of this area because we're going to hit it. So that always bugs me. Anyway, while acknowledging the relief that may be afforded to Palestinians under the agreement in humanitarian assistance and cessation of military operations, the DSA said it harbors no illusions that Israel will honor any negotiated agreement that preserves Palestinian life or self-determination. Well, they have been, but the Palestinians keep attacking, shooting missiles, you know, doing terror attacks, whatever. That's been going on since, since 1917, for the most part. When is Hamas going to give up the idea that they're going to kill all Jews in the region? You know, that's part of the Hamas charter. You know what from the river to the sea means, right? That would be the entirety of Israel being ended of Jews. That's what from the river to the sea means. And that's not going to happen. And the ways you acquire land are either through settlement, through war, or through, however they did it in 1948. And every time Israel gets attacked, they kick the people's ass. So, you know, and then they give up. Then Israel's constantly giving up land. They gave up Gaza after they took it from Egypt. Gaza wasn't Palestinian land. Gaza was part of Egypt before 1967. But Egypt lost that part of Egypt to the Israelis in that war. And then the Israelis basically had all the Palestinians living there. Beachfront property. And then they left in 2006. Since 2006, they haven't been there. And the West Bank was part of Jordan. True. In fact, most of the so-called Palestinians, because they're not a thing, because Palestine is a name given to the area by the Romans. It's the European name for the region, which is hilarious to me. They're either Jordanian refugees, that's what the vast majority of the Palestinians are, or some of them are from Egypt. Yasser Arafat was Egyptian. He wasn't even, he's Egyptian. So, I don't know, man. This whole thing is just crazy to me. Moving on, Bernie Sanders also apparently, I guess, isn't so happy about the ceasefire, even though he's been calling for a ceasefire for 2 years. Senator Bernie Sanders welcomed Israel's release of some 2,000. Oh, yeah, he's excited about the fact that Israel released 2,000 of Palestinian prisoners who were either murderers, rapists, terrorists, whatever, adding that Monday's exchange of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners presents an opportunity for the United States to end its military alliance with the Jewish state. Why? Why would they? We have a military alliance with Israel. We have a military alliance with Qatar. We have a military alliance with Saudi Arabia. Why would we just end that one? Why? Sanders, who spent the past 2 years pressuring Israel to accept a ceasefire deal, said he is encouraged by the long overdue release of Israel's 20 living hostages, alongside freeing almost 2,000 Palestinians held in Israeli prisons. who were not hostages. They were prisoners who committed crimes in Israel. Here's Bernie. Today, we welcome the long overdue release of the 20 remaining Israeli held by Hamas and the freeing of most 2,000 prisoners, Palestinians held in Israel prisons. Hopefully, the ceasefire will hold and the people of the region will find lasting peace. The immediate priority now, amidst widespread malnutrition and starvation, which is bullshit too, okay? Again, this is the Pallywood, Pallywood and Hamas, who's been hoarding relief supplies and selling them to Palestinians at ridiculous prices, and all the the pictures of the starving children right next to non-starving children because they were actually had some chronic diseases and shit. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Anyway, he's saying the United Nations must be granted unfettered access. You know who won't give the United Nations unfettered access? The Palestinians won't. The Palestinians wouldn't allow international reporters in the area. You notice how all the reporting from the Gaza part of the region comes from reporters who are also Palestinians. In fact, some of them are actually Hamas. They don't allow international reporters in there because they control all the information coming out of Gaza. But I'm sure the Israelis would be like, yeah, sure, we'll let your UN people in here. The Gazans won't, guaranteed. He says further, at a time when virtually the entire infrastructure of Gaza has been destroyed, housing, schools, medical facilities, water systems, roads, electricity generation, the international community must support the Palestinian people as they begin to rebuild their communities. Well, we've offered to help. Everyone's offered to help. Hell, the Israelis have offered to help. So, and look, maybe they won't build tunnels this time. But it must be the Palestinians themselves that guide this process and determine their future. To achieve a lasting peace, Israel must abandon its current extremist course and move toward a genuine two-state solution. The extremist course of responding to an act of war? That's pretty extreme, isn't it? God, Bernie. Finally, as Americans, we must grapple with our role in this extremely dark chapter. Saying, do whatever you want to do, it's your country. The vast majority of Americans understand that Israel had a right to defend itself against the horrific Hamas terrorist attack that killed 1,200 innocent people and took 250 hostages. And only sent back 20 alive out of 250. Oh no, there was more before. 100, I think 120 came back alive. So half of the prisoners they killed, basically. Yeah, that's special, isn't it? But most Americans also understand that Israel did not have the right to go to war against the entire Palestinian people. They didn't. Did they go to war in the West Bank? Did they? Anyone know the answer to that? Did Israel? Did they go to war in the West Bank? Because those are Palestinian people. Did they go against the war in them? Did they start some shit over there too? Or was it just in Gaza where Hamas is? They did not have the right to go to war against the entire Palestinian people, killing or wounding almost 237,000 Palestinians, or more than 10% of Gaza's population. It's less than 10% of Gaza's population. There's like 3.5 million in Gaza. But even so, most of them women, children, and the elderly. How do you know? That's according to Hamas. The human shields. Yeah. Okay. Well, war sucks. And don't start a war that you can't win. War sucks. Sorry. Sanders failed to mention that the group includes hundreds of terror convicts serving life terms. One Gaza resident Israel released as part of the deal raped and murdered a 13-year-old boy, while dozens of others are responsible for a series of suicide bombings and other attacks. Yeah, see, Bernie doesn't care. It's virtue. He has virtue. Thank you, Avocados Diablo, putting a 223 bullet in the tip jar. AD says, trying to figure out who actually owns what in the region is like trying to figure out which whore Charlie Sheen caught which STD from. An exercise in futility. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. So anyway, well, I got to wind it down here. Here, let me show you what else I opened up. Christy Amanpour, the CNN host, I was trying to not say whore, says that starved and tortured Israeli hostages were treated better than the average Gazan. Okay, give me a moment. I gotta go find this chick now. Where is this? Hang on a second. Oh my God. Let's find. Let me just show you an average Gazan that posts on Instagram. Please tell me I can find this lady. Would have been give me a second. This is worth the wait. Trust me. Trust me on this one. This is hilarious. Oh. Where is this chick? Shoot. There's a young lady who posts on Instagram from Gaza. From Gaza. And she likes to talk about her life in Gaza. I wanted to find the one where she was just had her nails done. She hasn't posted for a while, so I can't find her. I will find some of her videos and we'll go through some of them tomorrow. It's quite amazing. The open air prison that the Gazans were living in and how the Gazans were treated, and showing you from a Gazan's perspective. And so anyway, the idea that Gazans were treated better than the average Gazan, again, she can kiss my ass. They were beaten, starved, tortured, raped. No, the average Gazans were not treated that way. The average Gazans were left to themselves since 2006. Now, maybe better than Hamas treated the average Gazans. But someone here, even here, look, the media has been calling Hamas terrorist hostages. The media is celebrating the release of the remaining Jewish hostages kidnapped by Hamas for over 2 years. Just kidding. They're actually celebrating the nearly 2,000 Gazan terrorists and suicide bombers who were released from Israeli prisons in exchange for freeing the remaining Jewish hostages. According to NBC, they're freedom fighters. So let's see.
If you didn't think the media could get more heinous than joining Hamas for the ride on October 7th, watch them describe the release of bloodthirsty terrorists in exchange for kidnapped Jews on an equal moral footing.
Those people held without charge are also considered hostages by Palestinians.
Let's take a look at those hostages on both sides. Jewish hostages were tortured for 2 years and forced to dig their own graves. But those Hamas hostages held were
doctors, nurses, journalists,
and suicide bombers. Jewish hostages were babies who were strangled to death and then shot. Hamas hostages only blew up children on buses, and they get to march out to the tune of the media's small violin. Hey, at least they're all still alive. We get corpses in return, as the media whines terrorists can no longer torture the real hostages for leverage. At this point, why even call them the enemy of the people?
Freedom fighters.
So anyway, there's that report. Other things I have open here. Don't beat your swords into plowshares just yet. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done in this. First of all, you got to deal with Hamas. You got to deal with even this Israel. It has to be extremely wary of everything going on, especially when you're releasing 2,000 people who are in prison in Israel for terrorist or, various acts that they should not have been doing. So we got to worry about that. Also, in the New York Post, Batya Ungar-Sargon says how Trump worked a Mideast miracle with his two-sided America First doctrine. I haven't read this one yet. I'm going to go back and read it later. I have several other things open too, but unfortunately I can't. I don't have time. I wish I did. But all these articles, there's tons of them in here in the links today. Thank you, Avocados Diablo, another small bulletin tip jar, who says, how do you jail a suicide bomber? Were they just really bad at their jobs? Well, they jailed the ones where the bombs failed. That's how they did it. They failed. Or just bombing people, whatever. But and for example, I just saw an interview, by the way. This guy was interviewing this woman, this Palestinian woman who had poured like boiling water on herself by accident. She got treated in an Israeli hospital, right? They treated her, got her back to whatever, and got her back to her home in Gaza. And then Hamas recruited her as a suicide bomber. So she's coming, and she had apparently she had 3 choices of where to go. One was an Israeli school, one was something else, and one was a hospital. And she was going to do a suicide bombing at the hospital that treated her because she hated Israel so much. And when they caught her at the crossing with her, figuring out that she was strapped for a suicide bombing, she tried to set it off and it failed, and they were able to disarm it. And so now this journalist is asking these questions. He's like, well, they saved your life the first time, and then the second time, you were back and it failed, and they treated you with mercy, and you got out, and you're back in Gaza again. Would you do it again? She's like, yes, absolutely, because she's doing it for whatever. So it's the Palestinians are a mess, man. I don't know the reason that you got to worry about. The reason you got to worry about it is because I don't think anyone there really wants peace. I mean, I think people want to live in peace, but do they want peace? It's hard to say. So anyway, hello, Midnight. What's up? Trump did it, but Israel's going to sabotage it just like always. Well, we'll find out. Did Israel sabotage it when they left in 2006 until recently? That was almost 20 years without sabotaging it, 18 years. So we'll see. So anyway, I got to go. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Here's the links from today, dropping them in the chat. Links. I'll just put links, and that's it. I got to go. You all have a wonderful day. Be back for Hump Day tomorrow and whatever else we do on Wednesdays. So y'all have a great day. My name's PDawgKnight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Have a lovely day. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.